Welcome to the Amplifyr Podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Henry. Amplifyr exists at the intersection of marketing, sales, leadership, pricing, and running a business in order to teach you how to succeed and excel at those things. In this episode, we're sitting down with Christian Bender of JCB Sons, licensed carpenters and general contractors. The company was started in 1988 by Christian's dad, and in this episode, we talk all about what it means to take over a company business, to grow it, to use AI tools and continue advancing it, and of course, all of Christian's experience on the sales and marketing side of running a business. This episode takes a lot of interesting turns, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Christian, thanks for being here on the show, man.
Thanks, Aiden. Glad to be here. Love the space.
Yeah, it's a little cozy with all the podcasting equipment in here, but we make do. It's 99 square feet, so it's not gigantic, but it gets the job done.
No, I love it. It tells your story. It's cool.
Thanks, man. Well, yeah, I'm excited for the episode that we've got. I know we've gone back and forth a little bit just on kind of topic and the direction that we would take the episode. And I know, you were one of the first guys that I thought of would be really cool to have on the show, just because I know you are, you're a general contractor, you're a licensed carpenter, you have many skills and talents, and you are a guy that takes your business very seriously. You pour your heart and soul into it. And so I already know before we've even hit record that none of this is rehearsed, that you've got some excellent wisdom to share with us. So anywho, for anyone listening who doesn't know who you are, doesn't know how you got to be where you are, do you want to give us just like a real quick recap on who you are, what you do, and kind of how you got to be where you are?
I'm Christian Bender. The business name is JCB Sons. It's a business my parents started. I took over in 2006 and have been running the day-to-day of the business since then. The business, when I first got married, to give kind of a brief how that all happened, Mom was like, you need to have a real job. You can't work for your father. And
little did she know.
Yeah. So I went and got a real job, and Alicia and I got married. I spent about 5 months there and really enjoyed. Some of the guys got on with the crew for the winter, and I didn't enjoy the crew I was with. And I came home and I was talking to Dad, and I was like, I'm not liking this. He's like, well, quit. Like, what are you staying there for then? And I was like, yeah. So I put my 2 weeks in. At the end of that 2 weeks, my grandfather, we were heading into Easter weekend. My grandfather passed away that weekend. So on Tuesday, Dad stepped into Poppy's shoes. And on that Tuesday, I stepped into Dad's shoes with the business. He handed me a list of clients and jobs and said, here you go. So that's 20 years ago almost now.
Okay. That's kind of like the first time you get behind the wheel of a pickup and it's like, all right, have at it. Where you're like, I don't know that I'm prepared for this. I imagine that's how you felt, or did you feel pretty good about that?
There's the excitement. Like, I was excited to, that was where I wanted to be, was running my own business from the get-go. So there was excitement, but definitely nerves too. It's on me if I screw this up too.
Yeah, that's right. Did you feel like having your dad there was like a safety net, that it could only go so sideways because he'd catch you, or did you still feel the weight of responsibility, like, no, this is really on me now?
No, because you have that person to lean back on for advice and questions, and so definitely, I still call him even now, like, hey, I got this issue, like, what do you think? So
that's good. How much have you, so I guess you're saying then that all throughout kind of the life of you running the business, that's been true, that he's been a resource for you?
Yeah, definitely. Even this winter, I broke my shoulder, and Dad came, stepped back in. I mean, he prefers to do his own things these days, but he came back and helped us out with the physical tasks that we were handling at that time while I was healing. So
I'm sorry to hear about your shoulder. You look good now though, so that's good. So when you kind of stepped into that role and took over what was your dad's job at that point, what was that transition like? Was that a fairly natural thing? Did you and your dad did you see eye to eye? Did you get along well? Was there a conflict you had to work through? Like, was that an easy transition, I guess is what I'm asking.
Dad made it an easy transition. When he took his hands off, he took his hands off. Like, it was my ship to steer. He was there if I needed to ask questions, and he'd give me advice, but like, there was no conflict that way as far as like him having trouble letting go of the reins. You know, I can see where, like, I think that is probably an issue in some family businesses, but that wasn't my experience.
Well, that's phenomenal. And I imagine that paved the way for you as a father and how you want to be towards your kids, and really, delegate genuine, authentic trust, right? To be like, hey, this is yours and you're going to be a grown up. And I think that's, a big part of being a father, as I know we would both share, is like, I feel like dads in particular are wired towards like, hey, I'm not going to be here one day and you're going to be on your own and you've got to kind of figure it out. And I think a lot of dads intend to do that and don't necessarily do that well. So that's cool. That's such a testament to your dad succeeding at that. So I love to hear that. That's wicked. When you did kind of take over, and maybe this is a little bit of time later as you're settling into the role, what were kind of some of the things that your dad had implemented in the business that were like pillars and cornerstones that stayed? And was there anything that you felt like maybe, kind of a new sheriff in town, and maybe I want to change the way we approach some of these things?
So my parents were primarily in the modular home business in the early 90s, and they ran the business together. Like, mom and dad, mom was in the office, dad was on site. Like, they did a large scale of business for two people at that time. They sold a lot of homes.
And they built a fair amount every year, did they not?
Yeah. Like, from about 88 to 91, they put up something like 80 houses, the two of them.
That's insanity.
Yeah. And then in the early 90s, there was a recession, and that recession took a lot of businesses out, and they survived that. The transition is we transitioned into renovations at that point. The new home construction didn't come back for them. And so the mom went into other endeavors. Dad ran things a little more casually. So I would say what I kept the same was how we operated as far as the work that we did and how we did the work and the quality of the work that we brought forward. The thing that I changed was not running quite as casually, being a little more professional with, he did a lot of like on a handshake and word of mouth, which is, I think speaks to his character because people trusted him. I didn't carry that forward. I made sure that we had things in writing.
Well, I feel like certainly now, however many years later, it feels even more important to get things in writing. And I've had friends that I've worked with where it's gone really well working together, and friends that I've worked with where it did not go very well. And I've heard other people say good paper makes good friends or something like that. And so really getting clear on kind of what you're agreeing to upfront can be a very valuable thing in business, right? And I think in reality, any of your clients that don't have anything to hide shouldn't be afraid of, getting things in writing, paying deposits, signing contracts and things like that. And I would imagine, and maybe you can disagree with me if your experience has been different, but I would imagine that any of your clients that seem to show red flags at that stage of the process are probably telling you things that are going to help you later if you continue to work with them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. No, it definitely, it definitely helps weed things out. And then further to say that I've been really fortunate to have really great clients over the years. I've had really, for the most part, very, very good people that we've worked for.
Do you chalk that up to luck, or do you feel like you attracted that? Because I'm going to just quickly interject here too, because another one of the big reasons I specifically wanted to have you repping JCB on the show is because I know, having designed your website together, but even well before that, I followed your blog for years, where I would hop on your website and I would look at the projects you were working on. And I felt like the level of detail that you would show behind the scenes of like, hey, here's what we did here, and here's how we did this, and here's what you need to remember when you're doing this in order for it to go well and not go sideways. And inadvertently, I don't think you were doing this to show like, oh, here's where crappy contractors cut corners and here's all the things we did right. But I think that inadvertently you are building a serious amount of trust with your existing clients, with potential clients, because you have nothing to hide at any point in the process, right? So again, going back to that quality, like, every contractor wants to be known for doing quality work, or they, maybe it's like speed or a cheap price. And you have decided to die on the hill of quality, which I love and I resonate with. And so again, maybe this is a super long-winded way of asking, like, do you feel like that is just luck that you've had really great clients? Or do you feel like because that is the way that you've approached your business by really trying to be quality first, that has helped attract the right people to you?
No, I think people that are looking for quality will find you. So if that's what you're pursuing, as far as the customers that don't, like, there's a side to even showing those details, like the customer that doesn't value that, just values the bottom line. Because I've had one experience with one client one time where it was like, well, why did you do it that well? Why wouldn't you have just like basically sacrificed the quality of the project to have made it cost less? Like he didn't value that
it was being done right.
The precision of what was done. He would have preferred, and it was like, I didn't even see that as being an issue. And so I, in that moment, realized like not everybody appreciates what I'm doing. And so it's like realizing that client's never going to be a fit for me. And that's fine that if that's what they value, great. I just won't be a fit for that client. And so I think showing what we're doing that way helps line you up with clients that value what we're bringing. Yeah, because it definitely was never the goal to be like, here's a crappy contractor and this is, we're trying to be different. It's like, this. It was supposed to be like, this is what we value, and we're trying to align with people that value those same things, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and again, like, you're alluding to it there, but you're highlighting the fact that there are different clients that want different things, right? And for someone that values the bottom line more than anything, I'm sure there's a contractor out there that can get them exactly that, right? But usually, at least in my mind, the logic would go that if I'm going to seek out someone to do a job that I cannot do myself, I value some level of quality higher than what I'm capable of producing myself, right? So again, like there's budgets for every job, and I get that. Like, sure, if we all had tons of money, it would be fun to throw lots of money at all kinds of stuff, but that's not generally how it goes. Usually we have a budget of some kind that we have to stick to, right? And I get that. So maybe kind of jumping ahead and kind of talking about that, maybe talking about budgets and working with clients with budgets, because maybe you can just touch on this real quick, but some of the scale of the renovations you do is massive. They're additions. They are entire knockdowns and build up. Like, you kind of do it all. Is that fair to say? Yeah. And so, and you're so humble and casual. Oh yeah, we just do it all. It's wild. So I guess, like, how do you start to work with a client, depending on their job, to even just ballpark a figure of what something is going to cost? Because again, when you're talking about, excavating, pouring the foundation, and then framing everything, electrical, plumbing, whatever, all of that, me as a person who has like the vaguest idea of what's involved in that, but have never done it myself, I just can't fathom, how do you start to quote something like that, particularly when you're quality oriented? So maybe just walk me through your process of like, how do you start to quote someone, and what are the conversations you're having with your clients early on to try to determine, okay, you want this gigantic renovation. Well, that could be $50,000 or it could be $150,000. And what you think it might cost might be way off from what the client might thinks it costs. How do you navigate that?
So I don't hit it every time. I've definitely
airballed a few times.
People, when it comes to budget, always want to hide it. They always think, oh, if I tell him what I want to spend, he's going to take it to the max, and they never quite understand that that's not going to be my problem. The problem is figuring out how I can bring it in on your budget, typically, because usually they have more that they want to do than what they can afford.
Yep.
So having like an honest conversation with what their budget is really beneficial, because then, we need to scale that back because you can't afford what you, and I mean, I had one this spring that I missed badly. I mean, we were so far apart. I felt really bad afterwards, and they felt bad, and they were very kind people, and it just, I just
wasn't the right one.
Yeah. We were not even, I wasn't even in the same ballpark. And anyhow, ultimately they just ended up going a totally different direction, which is fine. I mean, unfortunately I put quite a bit of time into quoting that for them because we missed that. So it's not that even after this amount of time, I still don't get it right every time. But that being said, it's usually throwing out some figures of like, this is what things like this can cost. So like, and then they'll either ghost you at that point, or like they'll that they want to move forward. And you get indicators with people too, like patterns of like, this person is clearly just wants to move forward with their project. And then that being said, the years change too. Like during COVID, people didn't even ask for prices. It was just, can you come? We don't care what it costs. Like if you looked in my hard drive for the years of COVID, I don't have quotes.
Really?
They're just empty folders.
Wow.
Versus like this year, like I have a massive folder of people's names and jobs that I'm pricing because people are price shopping right now. And I mean, interest rates are up and just everything's different, and there's inflation's higher than it's been. And so people don't know what stuff's costing. And so I definitely have a lot of inquiries are up this year, which I attribute to the website.
Well, thank you.
Definitely the website. People are finding us, which is fantastic. But that being said, people are definitely, there's a...
shopping.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, and you touched on it briefly, and I would love to go back to that. You talked about how, the particular client that you mentioned that did not pan out, that you guys were in different ballparks. You said, unfortunately, I had invested quite a bit of time into that one in the beginning. And I find that an interesting concept because some of the business books I've read, there's all kinds of different thoughts, right? On like, how do you price something? How do you approach the client? I've heard all kinds of things like the person who says their number first loses or something, like all kinds of different psychology around that. I don't know if I agree with all of it, but one particularly interesting one that I heard a guy, he sells like high ticket graphic design services. Like he works for like the Nikes and Apple. So like, $1 million is a drop in the bucket essentially. And he talks about this idea of something along the lines like kill the deal fast. And so what he does very early on in conversations with a client, first phone call, he will throw out a high number just to get a temperature. Just like, how do they react to that, right? Does that make them throw up in their mouth a little, or do they just kind of quickly go like, yep, that sounds about right, and just keep moving on? And then you kind of know, right? And again, I've heard another guy, it might have been the same guy, but I've heard someone else talk about kind of knowing that you've hit the sweet spot on price when like there's 3 different types of reactions that you can get when you name a price. So the first is, oh yeah, that sounds great. Yep, done. Where do I sign? So you're like, ooh, you guys were over eager at that price. Maybe I left some money on the table. Then there's the extreme of like, oh man, we aren't even close. Not the same ballpark. Thanks, but no thanks, whatever. And okay, I was way too high. But the kind of sweet spot is in between that, where someone goes, hey, that's a little more than our budget, it was a little more than we want to spend, but we understand the value and the quality and what we're getting, and so we're going to move some things around, we're going to make it work. And usually if you get that third reaction, that kind of middle reaction, that okay, you probably didn't leave too much money on the table, right? But anywho, so just some, I don't know, interesting thoughts, and I would love to hear what you think about that. But going back to, how much time do you invest early on, and what is the difference between, if there is a difference between what's optimal to invest before a client gives you any money, and what do you actually do in real life?
So I think that it depends on what my workflow at the time is. If workflow is a little slower, then you're willing to invest more time into pricing things for people, because hopefully that turns into a lead, or if not, that they value that you gave them that time, and maybe they become a referral, which could happen too. If workflow's higher, we are a small business. Like, I am on site doing the physical work, so we don't have somebody pricing jobs full time, which would be amazing. If you want to work for free pricing stuff, give me a call, and if you're good at it. I'm pricing stuff after hours or weekends, or dedicating that time. If I'm busy, I can't dedicate that same time to it. Like, I have to either pass on it, or throw some numbers out. What do you like? If this number seems reasonable to you, then we should talk. Mm-hmm. And if this number is scaring you, then I'm not going to be a fit. Yep. And then move forward that way. And then that being said, you get a vibe too. Like, am I connecting with these people? Like, I heard you and Leanne talking, and when you met with your couples for the weddings, you connected right away. Oh, yeah. And you knew, this couple's going to be a fit. And you get that same thing in this business too. It's like you either connect with the client right away, and and then sometimes you connect and you still lose them because you're just
too far apart.
You can only afford what you can afford. That being said, I often try to revisit, okay, well, what can we scale back to fit your mm-hmm. budget? Mm-hmm. Do you need all those items, or could you, a more basic version of what you initially wanted, and that sometimes gets you to a compromise that works for them. So.
And I think that all of that is interesting. It goes back to what you said before about how nervous the client is to tell you their budget. Because if they're really nervous to share pricing with you, then, fair enough, right? I've spoken about how my car is something that I'm early on in my life, I decided I don't care to learn how cars work. I will pay a mechanic. I will run the risk of being taken advantage of, but I will just work harder to find someone reputable, someone that I really trust, someone that I always get a good sense about, right? And generally I've succeeded at that, which I'm really grateful for. But there is absolutely a level of trust that you put in a professional to say, please don't take advantage of me. I'm vulnerable. Please do the right thing. And I think what you're describing is the dream scenario where you can exhibit that you are trustworthy and you have clients that open up and are trusting you, right? And in those, like you said, yeah, it's like a vibe check, right? Hey, this feels good. This feels like...
And I'm not always sure that it's even that they don't trust you. I think there's the sides, some people, it's just a lot of us are taught, keep your cards close, especially when it comes to your finances. And so I think it's a bit they're just keeping those cards close, which is... I understand that, I always kind of grew up, don't talk about money, you just don't do that. But it's on the other hand, if we're going to get serious about a project and spending a large amount of money, I do, any contractor needs to know realistically what your budget is, because when it comes to some of the work that we do, the sky can be the limit to what people can spend. So we just need to know, it's typically harder to bring it in on the budget than it is to it's not that I'm at least in my instance, maybe it's not every contractor's instance, maybe some would be oh, I can just but for me, it's I do want to try and maximize what I can get,
of course,
for my client, to get them as much as I can for the, but you know, on the other hand, that we're not wasting each other's time as well. So,
well, yeah, what you said was really interesting about, and what you're saying right there, right? Maximizing a client's budget versus looking at this as like, oh, their budget is way higher than what I was going to price this job at. I'm going to make a sweet profit margin on this, right? And you talking about working evenings and weekends, pricing jobs, it speaks to the level of dedication you have to have as a business owner, that you typically trade in a day job for a day and night job, right? You're working thankless hours that no one's going to notice, all the times that, you know, between the hours at 9 p.m. when your kids go to sleep and 11 p.m., you're laying in bed on your laptop working and sending quotes and responding to emails and things like that, right? Like, people miss that. And so the dream is that you are working with clients that aren't concerned that you're just like, oh, awesome, here's a massive profit margin on this job. But instead you're like, well, I'm going to try to get you $200,000 worth of value in a $150,000 budget, right? Because like you said, it's usually that way around, as opposed to, oh, this thing is only worth about $100K, but you've got a budget for $150. Great, I'll take every extra dollar you want to give me, right? It's profit margins and the way that you approach them. And again, that to me speaks to you as a contractor, that I like the way you approach that. I like that you want to give them more value than what they are paying for. And your expertise alone, I feel like, would do that. But still, yeah, trying to, you know, to me, the best business deals are where both people feel like they got the better end of the deal. Yeah. That's the sweet spot. Doesn't always work out like that, but that's usually kind of what you're aiming at, right? One of the things I wanted to pick your brain about today, because I find it really interesting, and I wonder if you have some unique perspectives on this. I talked earlier about how you have used blogging and taking behind the scenes photos of your jobs as a marketing tool for many years, and how, you know, even just me as, you know, one of your friends that just kind of casually kept up with, like, oh, what's Christian doing today, or what's the latest job they've been working on. It's just fascinating and interesting for me to have kept up with over the years. But that has shifted, and so even though your website is still valuable, blogging, I imagine, is a bit of a different strategy now than, you know, learning the latest TikTok dance or craze, or the latest dumb challenge that people are doing to get views and go viral, or what. I'm
sure TikTok's great. I haven't been able to bring myself to download that app.
Well, I mean, it's infiltrated Instagram as well. So, I mean, we're all goners to the 5-second scroll, thumb swipe to watch more candy-like content. But that being said, so even if you haven't dipped your toes into TikTok yet, you use ChatGPT and AI to help you with some of your marketing. Is that fair to say?
I use it for a lot of things, actually. As you use it, you kind of figure out you can. It is overconfident in its abilities, so yep. Use that. Keep that in mind when you use it. But it has some pretty unique abilities.
Well, and so I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here. But be like, use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT every day. I actually have started defining it as, like, I think it has changed my life. Like, the way that I use it as a brainstorming tool, and kind of like here's what I'm thinking, or how should I approach this conversation, or help me sort through my thoughts. And man, just for that stuff, it's so fascinating.
I even play client scenarios with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'll give it some details about a client, and I'll fire it in the quote that I've made, and like, how do they interpret this? You know, play a scenario of like, and like, you know, what could I do to tighten this up, that it and it'll go through, like, you know, this could be worded better, that they understand it better, or, you know, so even that's kind of like, I mean, how accurately it can portray I don't know. Like I say, it can be overconfident in its abilities, but I still find it has some value. Like, it just kind of like, okay, it kind of gives you like a trial run with what you're doing, you know. Yeah, even like you had done an amazing job of the website, but had recommended like some of the back end stuff from the old blog and stuff that it could be updated someday. So I actually this spring had a bit of time. I fed in the blog stuff. It fed me back new write-ups to kind of like make it a little more relevant, to update that, which Google likes. And then I even had it help me with the SEO end of it, which I'm not necessarily great with, but it was like, again, how great it is, I don't know. I've seen great results with the website. Now I attribute that to your work, but I think some of the back end work with the SEO is probably helping too. And it did a great job of like, here's what you do. And then even if you have a QuickBooks question, just like,
oh yeah,
hey, I'm having this issue with, I use QuickBooks Online now. I hate it. It's terrible. Like, I don't know why they can't just have like normal QuickBooks that you can buy like your copy. But anyhow, that's a side note. Yeah. So it's great because like the menus are awful in QuickBooks Online.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know if anybody else has the app on their phone. I refuse to use the app.
Is it that bad?
It's awful. Yeah. If you want to get your books really screwed up, then use the app.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't use QuickBooks specifically, but I've had all kinds of different instances where I'm like, oh, I've got this weird thing and I've got to learn a piece of software I don't use a whole lot. And I'm like, there's going to be no way it's going to know, but I'll ask anyways. And kind of through that, like stumbling around, or it gives you some instructions. Like you said, it's overconfident. I would agree, but it'll give you some instructions. And so I'm like, okay, I got to step 3, but then it wasn't oriented like that, or that you told me to click on this button and it wasn't there. What do I do? And it goes, you're probably using this version. And again, like you just give it that more context and how it can help you.
And I have to just fire a screenshot in. I don't know, maybe you do that too. I just screenshot like my issue because it'll be like, it is overconfident. So yeah, you click this button, there's a button's not there. It's like, yeah, okay, you know what? Here's the screen. Like you figure it out. You're Mr. Confident. And it does,
Mine's a she.
So, is it? Okay. So, sometimes it's not, sometimes it doesn't actually get you to the result itself, but it does take you far enough to find the result, so that even that in itself is it's faster than Googling stuff.
Oh yeah.
When you're having an issue.
One of my friends, I was introducing him to ChatGPT. I've introduced a number of my friends. You're welcome. And he described it as like Google on steroids. And I'm like, yeah, if you don't know what ChatGPT is, an AI and kind of the theory behind it, it's a good way to think about it. And like, I treat it as a virtual assistant, right? And I know one of the interesting ways that you use it is to even write some of your social media captions. Not all of them, I don't think, but even
lately, all of them.
Oh, lately,
I
yeah.
even have it pick the songs now. I don't. That takes that mind space away. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
and it's like it does a great job because like I'll tell it what I want it to say. Like I want you to kind of hit this, but like I'm awful with music. Like I would love to be a musical person, but I'm not, and I don't know songs and I don't know artists, and so I just like, hey, here's what we're doing. I want something kind of with this sort of vibe, and just like give me 10.
Yep.
And it'll fire me off 10, and I can go through and I like that one, and I'll so even that's great for me.
Well, the way that I described it to one of my friends who was kind of skeptical to start using ChatGPT in his life is I said that, like you just said, it frees up your mind space on like kind of the low-hanging fruit, mind-numbing tasks so that you can now start using your brain power and mental energy on a more difficult set of tasks and problems because you had someone else handle the kind of lower, crappier stuff, right? This goes back to, okay, can someone quote my jobs for me so I can get back out on the job site, right?
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
So from that end, I have messed around with that a little bit. It's way overconfident on that. It can't do that at all. It's terrible. But it is fun to fiddle around with, like, hey, just like, here's some information, like, spit me this out. No, it's not. It can't, like, it. I'm sure a really basic thing you could ask it to build a material list for, like, hey, I want to build a box. Can you give me a box? but if you're like, hey, I need a material list for a deck, it's not going to spit you out a material list for a deck. Like it doesn't have. It's not. It will think it can. It'll give you like something, but I wouldn't trust it at all.
Well, I bet you if the tool doesn't exist yet, it's coming. That there will be someone somewhere that makes a deck AI tool.
Absolutely.
That it's going to take all that away, right? And it'll be interesting. Like that's actually kind of, I've thought to myself, okay, I mostly work in the digital world. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see how AI is going to start replacing a lot of the stuff I can do. One of the interesting perspectives I heard someone say is that AI is not going to replace you. Someone that can utilize AI is going to replace you. And I thought that was interesting. I'm the jury's still out on kind of what I think about that. But to me, the lesson that I take from that is like, use this time to learn how to use AI, I guess is the big thing. But on my end, I've thought like, oh, okay, you know, physical manual labor jobs are probably not in a whole lot of immediate threat by AI. But what you're talking about, yeah, building, material lists and writing quotes and, even communications back and forth with your client, right? All of those things, it's going to be so wild.
It does a good job of reading communications that are complicated and simplifying it. If you've got somebody that, an example, my current customer, sold her previous home, incredibly honest woman. So shame on the person that's doing this, but the person is now suing her over the sale of her previous home. So she was pretty distressed when that she got served the document. And so I've known her she's been a customer for like 17 years, known her a long time. So she was willing to show. And so I was like, I'd like to feed this in because the document kind of was working in circles. She'd hired a pretty fancy lawyer. And
who worked in circles?
Yeah. Well, to make everything seem bigger than what it was, right?
Oh, okay.
You understand? It to make what could have been probably a 3-page document was 15 kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm basically saying the same, but it was like a lot of legal language.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like fed it in ChatGPT, and like obviously I wouldn't like write a legal fight a legal battle that way. Like you need a real lawyer, but it did help like pinpoint like these are the things, and then was able to work with her on that to with the knowledge that I have, and then to give her some rebuttals for some of the things that were just like, I mean, laughable. They were so ridiculous what this person's trying to do. But again, it's overconfident. So like you want to like fact check what it's like telling you, and I've like written it right into like the core of like where you can customize it for yourself.
Yep.
That it has to tell me when it's using fake math, because like it will give you like some of the stuff it comes back with, you're like, all right, how did you get that number? Because that's not like checking out for me at all, and it's like totally made up. So yeah, it has its place and it's really cool, but and now it is like, this is fake math. You need to check this. Like
that's good.
Yeah, but
I've had it where I've like sent it a link to a page. I'm like, can you summarize this, or can you give me kind of the details, or where do I find this? And it'll spit back an answer that is like completely wrong, and I'll call it out. I'll be like, what are you saying? Like, I opened the page and this is what it says. It goes, oh yeah, you're right. And like, that's it. And I'm like, you don't even apologize to me? Like, come on.
Yeah.
It'll get there. Don't worry.
How do you like the latest update? This is kind of off topic.
Oh, I don't mind at all. Honestly, so I've only ever used the free versions of ChatGPT, so I'm always just stuck with whatever the free version is.
I've been paying the 25.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, because you can use it more. Like you don't get the limitations. I think it's cheaper to buy it by the year.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I did the 25 a month, did like a month, 2 months. Then I canceled it because I was like, I don't know if I really need this. And then when she got served that document, I resubscribed again.
Yeah.
To feed the document into it, because you needed enough bandwidth to do that. And so I should probably look into it, because I think the yearly subscription is cheaper. It does. I use it quite a bit. So it like for if it's, I think it's $200 a year, 25 a month, $200 a year, something like that.
That's really not
for $200 a year. It's like having a secretary.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely, right. I haven't dove too much into feeding it documents. Almost everything I do, I'll like write out almost essentially a really long email and then be like, give me whatever answer back I'm looking for. But the way that I've started to try to use it for these podcasts, actually, that's really interesting, is when I've edited the episode together, I'll upload it to YouTube, and YouTube does its like auto transcription, closed captions. You can download that as a text file. ChatGPT, even with the paid ones, it does eventually limit you on like word count or something. But it's told me, it's like, worst case scenario, cut it in half and you're going to be fine for an hour-long episode. But upload the transcript, which is super choppy, no punctuation, no differentiation between when I'm talking, when you're talking. ChatGPT cleans all of that up like exceptionally well. And now you've got this beautiful transcript, and then you ask it to do all kinds of things. So one of the things I've started doing is like, okay, write me a 500-word newsletter article from this, and like, or give me 10 really punchy captions that I can take from this. And even like when it misses the tone and I'm like, that sounds way too salesy, or that doesn't sound authoritative enough, I'll go back to it and I'm like, do that again, just amp it up a little. And it's wild how just a couple quick back and forths you can get from this ridiculous nothing transcript I downloaded from YouTube, auto-generated, into this amazing, like, actually, like, piece of content that you can read and consume and share and distribute and remix in all kinds of different ways. And so that's one of the things that, at least for me personally, has been really interesting about doing long form content like this, because the Amplifyr Podcast is my first foray into my own really long form stuff, and having people on the episodes with me has made it so much better than if it was just me rambling for half an hour. But it's so interesting where AI is right now to start to, again, you're kind of coming up with new ways to push it, right? Like, I wonder if I could do that.
Well, I have a friend that's runs a construction business, younger guy, and he's fairly large scale at this point with his business, and he's using AI. He'll uses the DJI mics.
Okay, yeah.
He's having meetings with people, like, if there's like architect, designer, homeowner, whoever there, he'll throw on his DJI mic, he'll record the whole conversation of the meeting, and then he'll feed that into AI. It'll spit him out minutes, and then he'll fire back the minutes to everybody with like, this is the conversation we just had. This is what we discussed. If there's anything in here that you disagree with, please let us know now, and we'll like make changes or whatever. And so he has occasionally had like, oh, well, I didn't say that because they don't want to be, and so it'll actually like clip out like where they said it in the audio, and he can fire that back. Well, you did actually say it, but like, so yeah, you can use it in a lot of different.
That's fascinating. See, that's just such a clever way to use all of that technology together, right? Because I think, and maybe you can speak to this as a contractor, is like, not putting things in writing can sometimes really benefit you or really harm you, because if you don't have some sort of reference you can go back to say, you said this, or I said that, or I warned you, or whatever, that can obviously really bite you later, right?
Well, these larger scale projects where there's a lot of sub-trades involved and things like that, like there's a lot of finger pointing that happens.
I can imagine.
So,
yep, good way. Again, like, just what a clever way to protect your business against that, right? To not have to have 15-page legal documents that you then need to feed into ChatGPT to be like, help me read through this, right? Going back to, switching gears totally here, but going back to kind of, marketing yourself, attracting new clients, that type of thing. Between, your website, social media, word of mouth, maybe, like, what are kind of the biggest channels for you right now, and where do you kind of put your effort, and where have you seen the best ROI on finding new people that resonate with you?
Website.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. Social media is fun way to show what you're doing. I'm not blogging now, based off of the, what we talked about when we were designing the website. I've ran with that. I'm trying to put that effort into Instagram's probably my social media of choice to post stuff on, at least right now. And so I would target there. But yeah, definitely, as far as like, Instagram's not bringing me new clients. It's just a great way to like show some organic material that's going on. That being said, people are seeing it. Like, one person contacted me. It didn't turn into a job, unfortunately. I would have liked that project. They wanted a really nice addition. For her, the connecting point was she saw my dog.
Really?
She saw I had a picture of the dogs in the shop, wrestling or whatever, and she saw the photo of the dogs, and she's like, "Oh, I want to connect with him for." And so, who knows? Maybe down the road they'll decide to do it still. But so yeah, it's not. You never know. But the website's the driver. It has been for a long time. That being said, prior to me contacting you to update it, it wasn't performing well. So we initially, I think we targeted like updating the logo and graphics for the trailer, and then it sort of moved into the website. But the website needed to be updated, and I am seeing results.
That's wicked.
I'm
glad. I mean, that's similar to, you wanting to get your clients the best bang for the buck. That's always my goal, right? I'm not just here to separate you from your money as quickly as I can. I genuinely want the work that I do for you to be something that is long lasting, right? I've heard a lot of contractors echo what you're saying about social media not necessarily being the place where new clients come from. But I've seen, or I've heard most contractors talk about it as like social proof. And so I'm curious if you know of, when a client, even if a client contacts you through your website, if they've still had social media play a part in kind of their internal buying process. Because what I suspect, or what I feel like I've heard happens for especially people in the trades, is that you'll find someone through your website or word of mouth, but often they will go to your social media because they want to see your updated work. Because your website, if you want to abuse the goodwill of a website, you put all your great work on there and none of your recent work or what your actual quality is, right? But social media seems to have become more and more raw and less polished, and I think that that's one of the really beautiful things about social media. Originally, I rejected it. I hated it, but I think it's actually one of its biggest strengths is when you use it to break down barriers and to show people behind the scenes, right? So you did that with your blog, which was a unique way even to use a blog. And I think for a lot of people, social media is that now. But I'm curious, do you feel like even when you are finding, new leads that come through the website or word of mouth or any other way, do they still visit your social media profiles? Does that still play a role in terms of building a connection with them?
I'm not sure, but I think it's people need to see things in multiple places before they usually reach out to you. Definitely. So like whether it's having some lawn signs in your community, an ad on a local digital board, or graphics on your vehicle, like I think they have to see it more than once before they're going to make that association. Yeah, and seeing it in multiple places helps them connect it at different points. So I think, being on Facebook, Instagram, in your local community, as simple as a lawn sign, like all those things point back to you is going to benefit you. I guess like ultimately, I'm always looking for like I don't like spending like a crazy amount of money on advertising. So I'm always looking for like ways that perform well at a low cost.
Bang for your buck, right? So when you're talking about, that one client that approached you after having seen you post about your dog, when you approach social media, do you intentionally try to show any kind of bit of your personal life in there, or just like life outside of just like, here's this finished product? Do you feel like there's value and benefit to you, whether or not you do it well, but do you think that there's value in peeling back the curtain a little bit, or do you feel like it's still better to take a kind of here's my finished product approach?
So I think I do show kind of process on social media. I do put finished stuff. I probably drive more finished stuff to the website. I could do better at like documenting, like I usually have my camera and camera bag in the truck.
Yeah.
Pulling it out doesn't always necessarily happen, even though it's there, because I just get focused on what I'm doing. And, like I have to, if I got the camera out, I'm focused on that. If I'm working, I'm focused on that. But I do like, I do take the odd photo. I take lots of photos on my phone. I don't usually post those. Like I usually pull my camera out and take like photos that way and then edit them and post that up. And I prefer that route. Like I like
good photos.
Yeah.
That was another interesting thing I wanted to ask you about, because fun fact for anyone listening, you were the third wedding photographer at my wedding, because Jimmy, your cousin, right? He's your cousin, right? I'm like, he's your cousin, was sick. And so I remember when he called me the morning of my wedding, be like, hey dude, I've been throwing up all night and I just feel so bad. So like, Sonia's going to be there, and I got my cousin Christian. He's good. He's going to be there. I'm going to try to be there for the morning, but I'm just so sorry, man. I've been throwing up all night. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm really sorry. Jimmy had been, Green Atom had been my dream wedding photographers for like years before. So when Leanne and I got engaged, I'm like, don't even ask who are we hiring, because there's only one answer and I will accept nothing else. That was maybe the really one big decision that I was like, there's no compromise. But Leanne also loved them too, so it wasn't. I didn't have to twist her arm.
They were definitely lovable, and Jimmy did a really good job.
Oh yeah,
and Sonia, both did, but yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
Jimmy's an amazing creative mind. So.
Oh yeah, and still to this day. So I say that, I bring that up, one, because it's a fun fact, but two, because you are a dude that cares about photography, and I imagine that there's some probably deep philosophy there of like, you've spent hours, days, weeks, sometimes months working on a project, and it finally comes together and it's this beautiful thing, and so you're proud of it, and so naturally you want to show it in the best light. And so that's where you're like, okay, I got to pull out the big dogs. I got to like actually take my real camera out, right? If your son hasn't stolen it on you, but you want to take out your real camera. But the challenge there being like, as you said, you're always pulling out your cell phone camera. You're always taking photos of your cell phone. I find this right now with my kids, right? I have cameras in the house, like always, never more than like 30 feet away from me at any point in time. But still, more often than not, I'm pulling out my cell phone. And so we finally bought just like one of those digital picture frames that you can send photos to wirelessly. And that's been so cool. And there's so many in between moments that we otherwise would have lost that are just like kind of silly everyday moments, but they mean something to us, right? But as a photographer or former photographer myself, I feel that tension of like, sometimes I wish I pulled out the real camera, and then other times like, this is good enough. So for you,
well, that being said, I mean the quality that you're getting, I mean you can't beat good glass and like true bokeh, but the quality of the pictures that you're getting out of these crazy phones now is pretty phenomenal.
Do you use any of the like cinematic features or like the fake digital?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I rejected them for a long time, honestly, and I would dissuade my friends from doing it because I'm like, that's trash. You don't want to do that. And then I feel like it just got better and better.
It's again, you can't you're not gonna beat like an f1.4 true like lens, like prime lens. Like you can't fake a prime. But I mean, it's still amazing. Like it does an amazing job for what it is.
Oh yeah. Well, if you go on any of my websites right now and you watch a video, 100% of it was shot with a cell phone with the little cinematic filter on. And I just have like an iPhone 13. So it's like already 4 to 5 years old. It's not a new phone, but even that is good enough to kind of like fool the average person and like just kind of slip it under the radar. And again, usually I'm kind of post-processing. I'm doing a little bit of light editing on my phone. But it's shocking how good the technology is. And again, I don't even have a very new cell phone, so I'm looking forward. I got to upgrade soon, but just how good the technology has gone. But is it below you to post a cell phone photo to your feed on Instagram because you're like, I should do this?
No, because sometimes you just happen to capture something and you don't have, your camera or whatever with you, and you capture something. It's like, well, I want to use that. Like that was like I took a video the other day of helping a friend move some equipment, and I just like literally set my phone on a mailbox on the side of the road while we loaded it, and it's just like it was something a little out of the ordinary of what I would normally do, but seemed fitting to like put it up on Instagram, and so I just it could have been better. I could have had a tripod and a better camera and taken better video and edited it better, but like it was my Sunday afternoon, so
yep. Fair enough, man. I mean, I think, people that I know that have gone viral on social media, you can pour your heart and soul into a particular video or post or whatever that you think this is the one, like brilliant idea. We're catching the wave at the right time. Like this is the one. And it just flops and it's very disheartening. But then something that you like thought of at like, midnight and then you like film it 5 minutes later and then you post it is the thing that just blows up. Like something that was just like,
you have no idea. You like, I mean, you can read and plan and try and ultimately like, I have no goal of being a social media influencer.
No, me neither.
So I try not to really, I don't get caught up in that. And I make effort to not get caught up in it. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like you can try, you can think like, this is amazing. Like everybody's going to love this. And it's like, it gets like 4 likes and you're like, oh, that's kind of disheartening, but
yep.
I thought it was pretty good.
And I think too, though, that's like, when I've done, like social media management for different clients, some of which were contractors, really trying to kind of keep in mind, and I got to remind myself of this as well, just so we're clear, like just because initially it got 4 likes or something like that and that was it, doesn't mean that it's not going to benefit me later, right? And so YouTube in particular, whether you consider YouTube a social media platform is a hotly debated topic, but YouTube views accumulate over time, right? So just every single view just adds on to the other, right? And usually, like I know LinkedIn is another really interesting algorithm that LinkedIn is like unapologetic, where they say, when you first post something, we don't immediately blast it out to everyone, but it's like a slow burn where it's like after like 2 weeks is usually when that post on LinkedIn will peak. And that's really different than like, I know TikTok, where it's like TikTok's algorithm is like, if you don't have a whole bunch of likes and shares and comments within the first like 30 minutes, your performance is going to drop off a cliff. And so
Gabriel's literally deleted. Gabriel's my son, for everybody listening, who's quite the little filmmaker.
Yeah,
he's literally just deleted stuff that hasn't done well because he posted it too late at night and just posted it again the next day. Because if you miss that, then you may as well delete it and just post it again, because and it'll do well because the algorithm will hit it the second time. He's just like, this didn't do well, and I just deleted it and I posted it again. Now I got like, hundreds of likes or whatever.
Yep.
But
well, and I think too, this is kind of, this almost ties back into our AI conversation about like adopting new tools in a constantly and rapidly evolving market. But social media platforms, and I know Instagram especially, maybe more than others, really rewards you every time you use the new features. So it's frustrating when they update the app. I know. And most people do, but I think that's exactly why they benefit you if you use them.
I
right?
really just like photo.
Oh, I know. If
I'd be fine with them
bring
just
it back,
getting rid of the video completely. Like
I could do it. I know. I do photography and filmmaking, but like I think at my core I'm a photographer. Like I could live in that world and be very happy there. But social media is just so not that way. You can use photos obviously in your marketing, and I think again, like on a website, like there is not always a one-to-one replacement where a video would always do better than a photo. But on social media photography, unfortunately, I feel like is
you can get caught trying to chase the newest, because the social media platforms are trying to stay relevant, so they're putting something new out, and then they reward you for using the new thing, and so you can get caught trying to chase. I don't care. It's like I like what I like, and it doesn't. If you look at it, nothing that I'm posting is performing well. I just keep posting stuff anyway. It's like, it's what I like. If you like it, great. If you don't, and then I think probably your like loyal followers aren't necessarily just like liking everything you stick up.
No.
Like, why would they need to? They've seen it. That's all. I put it up there so they do see it. That was the point of it. So it doesn't matter if it didn't get liked.
Well, and never losing sight of like, oh, I'm here to run a business. Like social media is a tool for me as like one small part of running my business. Social media is not the thing I'm trying to do, right?
Yeah, not getting caught up in it, because you can get,
Oh yeah. And I think
it's
especially
real time killer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think I respect people that put time limits on that. I watched this podcast the other day, and it was this dude, he's like a psychologist, and he like teaches you like psychology, how people think. And so he's written books and guides and stuff on how to negotiate, manipulate people, and what are the signs that someone is lying or whatever. So like just like has profoundly dedicated his life to like studying how people think and how they operate and how to tap into those kind of natural decision-making processes, and at times, if you want to, manipulate and abuse them. But his word of warning at the end of this amazing episode, I should send you a link, it was phenomenal. But his word of warning at the end of that was be very careful of social media. Because he's like, for a living, I study how to like manipulate the mind, and I am terrified of social media. He's like, I have like a screen time limit that after a certain time in the day, it locks you out on your phone.
Well, it's like you said, it's candy. Like you watch it and you realize like this is garbage what I'm watching, but I'm totally entertained by it. And it's like, I need to shut this thing off. Like,
do you send videos back and forth to your wife?
Yep. See, and I've got some friends, and friends that I don't see very often, like distant friends, and we definitely use it that way. And I enjoy. That's a great way to stay connected, I think. But
right, and that to me, I think that's like one of the big reasons, other than just like it's good for general promotion of stuff that you're doing, like a podcast. But that's like kind of become this quirky thing that my wife and I have connected over, is like sending each other funny reels or something that's like, it's like memes, right? Like memes aren't really a thing anymore. Like video reels and things like that is the new meme, right? And I mean, all the Gen Zs listening to this are like, what's a meme? But it's fascinating the way, like what I found about memes and what I find interesting about videos right now is it's all just like different forms of connecting with each other, right? It's like, oh, you too? Or you've experienced that as well? And that to me is, although it is candy and it can waste your time and your life, that I think is some of the good part of social media, is when it does genuinely draw you together.
Connects you with people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Totally switching gears again here. Just because before I lose you, I'm selfish and I want to hear more of your thoughts on some of the stuff. But going back to kind of meeting up with some of your clients, maybe it's standing around on the job site, maybe you're doing a site visit. You guys are talking through a little bit more seriously about what this renovation is going to look like, or what this addition might look like. Is there any kind of arm twisting that happens with clients there, where they're maybe looking to get all of your great quality, but also at a lower price? And how do you kind of negotiate and work with clients to not just automatically drop the price and, risk cutting into your profit margin too much, but still balance what they want with kind of what you are known for, right? Because to me, this is kind of, I don't know if you've experienced this, and if you have, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But one of the things that I find really kind of hilarious and unique for me at times is people will approach me. This happened when I was a wedding photographer. This has happened as a graphic designer, videographer, anything. People will approach me because they go, we love your work. We love your style, love the way you see the world. And then they hire me for something and they're like, oh, but we want you to do it in this very specific way. Or we want you to like circumnavigate your usual process and cut corners for us and help us save money. And to me, the like irony of that is like, okay, you've hired me for the way I do things, and you are trying to change the way I am doing things. And I always liken it to, you would not hire a plumber and then tell him how to plumb your house and where to run pipes, right? I mean, people do that, and I'm sure you know that better than me. But theoretically, they...
I mean, I know a lot of plumbers. I know exactly what they'd say to that person.
Well, fair enough.
And we can't say it here.
You can't repeat it here. Yeah, this is a family show. But, I'm highlighting the ridiculousness of hiring a professional, but then distrusting their expertise, right? And so, for you, I've had that happen a lot anyways, I feel like, in my career, and that's probably just a rite of passage, and it's a matter of dealing with people, so fair enough. But I would love to know, how do you try to avoid just like slashing price as the first thing to go if a client is trying to squeeze more value out of something?
So it definitely happens still. That being said, I've had, again, really great customers that recognize quality, want quality. I mean, the customer is not after quality and is just after like the very cheapest price. I'll never be a fit for them, and they're going to find somebody else. probably be very dissatisfied in the end.
Come back to you anyways.
That's happened, yeah. That being said, I mean, everybody loves saving $1, so I've definitely had to have some conversations, mid-project with people, and those can just be uncomfortable. You just have to be honest in that moment, and try to be as political as you can while you're handling it, but you just need to be honest and like, no, we can't do that, and here's why, and these are the problems you're going to have if you do that, and sometimes it's as blunt as just like, I won't put my name on that. Like, I'm sorry that's what you want, but like, I can't have my name connected with that kind of work. So,
yep, I'm not going to name names, certainly, but there have been a number of graphic design projects I've done where someone has said like, oh, I'll put your name on it, don't worry. And usually, this is the other irony too, is every time I've discounted a job severely, Leah and I talked about this in our episode, right? Every time we offered a super steep discount, those were often the worst clients to deal with. And the clients that had deeper pockets, although they were great just because they had deep pockets, fine. They were just like trusting, and the job was enjoyable, that ironically I would have taken less money to do the job because the process of working with them was so pleasant. And every time you work with a cheap client, at least for me, I tell myself, I'll never do that again. And then I do it again, and I'm pulling my hair out, and I'm like, why did I agree to this? And I think some of it comes down to being uncomfortable, having an uncomfortable conversation. I respect what you're saying about like, it is uncomfortable when you need to just sit down with someone, no matter how, at least for me, I don't know if it's true for you, no matter how many times I've done it.
Well, because it hurts their feelings ultimately. Like, you're telling them no, nobody likes being told no, because they have this idea and you're saying, no, your idea is stupid.
Yep.
Because it is. Here's why, and this will be the result of your stupid idea.
You should pump that into ChatGPT. Make this more politically correct. Yeah. Your idea is stupid.
Yeah. We should be a good one. It would have something. Yeah,
right, but you're hurting their feelings.
Actually, I really enjoy that about ChatGPT when I'm like annoyed with somebody, like, and I have to email them back. It's like, okay, I just tell ChatGPT, this is how I'm feeling, and I know this isn't okay. So I want you to like take this, turn this into like an email back, and make it so that they want to refer me to somebody else, even though I'm going to lose the job over this. Like, make it so polite that they like love me, despite the fact that I've just told them that their idea is idiotic. And it will. It does a great job. Sometimes you have to kind of tweak it a little bit, but it takes the your emotion out of it in that moment where you have, because I mean we all are human and have human emotions. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Well, trying not to offend people it's a delicate balance, right? Like, of needing to be clear and get your point across, but also trying not to be so brash that you're stomping on the reputation that you've spent so long building, right? It's comforting to me to hear you say like, yeah, it's uncomfortable sometimes, because I'm like, good, it's not just me that it is uncomfortable every time. Because I think this is like the thing about challenging conversations, right? Is every time they are like uniquely personal, right? Like, this, I've dealt with this before, but like, it's still like there's this relationship I care about, right? And it's uncomfortable usually because there's a level of like heart and care that you've put into it, right? It's not very difficult to tell someone you don't like where to go and how to get there. But when it's a relationship that you care about, or a client that has paid you some significant money.
At the end of the day, like a project, and I'm sure you felt the same about your work with they're a piece of you. Like that person's house is like mine until I hand it back over to them. And so like there's a deep level of care that I'm putting into the work that I do. So when they come up with this really stupid idea that's going to absolutely destroy what I'm doing, you're just like, and sometimes ultimately you have to like, depending on what they're asking for, like, yeah, okay, this is a really dumb idea, but like, this is not the hill I'm going to die on. If it makes them happy, like, here you go. It's not going to, like, I don't have to live in the house when it's done, and nobody's going to see it from the road. But
you've had this conversation with yourself a few times, I can tell.
But and so you like you there's a give and take in all things. You have to like decide in those moments. But yeah, there's like innately there's like a piece of me that I'm like putting into that. Like it has literally a piece of me, and like the home or the project or whatever is mine. That's how I feel about it. And then when I'm done, I'm like handing it back to you, and it's becoming yours again. But like while I'm there, and I'm like I care pretty deeply about, probably more than I should, about what I do.
That's beautiful, man. Absolutely. I liken it. Are you familiar with Harry Potter? Have you watched the Harry Potter movies? So the part of the premise of it, like the big picture premise, I'll try to avoid spoilers, is that the bad guy, Lord Voldemort, he creates these, they're called Horcruxes. And so essentially what he does is, I don't know how he does it. I can't remember. My wife could correct me, but he splits his soul into multiple parts. And so at the very end, in order to actually kill him once and for all, Harry Potter has to run around and destroy all of these different pieces of things where he's put his soul into it. And so it's like, I mean, that part is unrelated, but I liken, creative work of any kind, and I would certainly lump in what you do as creative work. You're putting a part of your heart and soul into that thing, right? And it feels deeply personal to you. And so it is something that, at times, I know for me, I care too deeply about it. And I can get too attached to it, but it's because I know I see the potential. I see what it could be. And it's like, just trust me, and I'm going to give you something that I think you're going to absolutely love. But it's a dance. It's a back and forth. It's that, tension and release of working with clients who don't necessarily have exactly the same vision that you do, right?
Yeah. Or the experience. Like, I've grown up in the business. So I have a quite a bit of experience in what I do, versus somebody that, has ideas but doesn't know how to get to them, and trying to manage that when they want. Well, there's lots of people that just like, yep, this is what I want, just get me to that, fine, and they leave you alone. There's others that somehow feel like they need to guide you. And it's like, well, no, like you've hired me to be the guide here, so just like
trust me.
Yeah, you can be the hero when I'm all done, but just like I'll handle this part.
Yeah, I appreciate that. One of the things, potentially wading into uncomfortable territory here, so feel free to plead the fifth if you'd like. But going back to those uncomfortable conversations that you sometimes have to have with clients, have you had a job where you had to, I'll say even partway through the job, have to essentially fire the client, or kind of respectfully bow out of completing it just because there was such an impasse? Has there ever been anything that extreme? What was, you don't have to give me a play-by-play, but what did you take away from that? If nothing else, what did you take away from that so as how to avoid doing that again?
Well, hopefully spotting that client before you take them as a client. Yep. Because nobody wins on that.
No, were there red flags that you turned a blind eye to?
One, I was a sub-trade. Okay. So it was the general contractor's client, and it wasn't working well, and I just passed it back to the general contractor, and they were free to get whoever they wanted to. Yep. This just won't be a fit. And then there's been two other moments. Those ones would be more, not that there was a problem with the client so much as just like them not budgeting accordingly. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, we can't stay if you can't pay. Yep. And those are always nobody wins on that either, because ultimately they've got hard feelings when that happens. There's no like.
So would you say that they're not, even in that type of situation where the client has effectively run out of money, are they understanding, or do they kind of put put that on you?
No, because they're like they haven't budgeted accordingly, even if you've provided. Those ones have all been time and material projects, which is one of the challenges of time and material.
What does that mean?
So time and material is where you're billing hourly.
Okay.
and you're billing for materials. So I've done both. I do quoting and time and material. Quoting, the nice thing about quoting is the price is what the price is. So there's like, they know exactly what they're spending. Sometimes projects have too many unknowns, and so you approach time and material. Sometimes you do a hybrid of both. Usually you're giving them like a budget. This is a budget that you need to keep in mind. And then you approach the project time and material, but they should have an idea based off the budget, what they should be setting aside. Sometimes people just don't want to hear you because they have this dream of what they want to build in their head, and they don't want to listen to, it doesn't matter how, like, and so, later on you can point them back to like, well, here's the emails where we had this conversation.
The AI voice recorded.
No, I don't do that. I haven't gotten into that.
It's coming.
Yeah, well, it's not a terrible idea.
It's not. No, and honestly, if you do it right, it protects the client as well, right? Like, especially if you're emailing out notes to say like, here's what we agreed to, right? Because that gives them the opportunity to hold you accountable. And this goes back to the beginning of our conversation, where it's like, if you are a reputable contractor, you have very little to hide. And theoretically, clients should be the same way, but sadly, it doesn't always work like that as a contractor or as a client, right?
Yeah. No, and my experience with that is it's just, I feel sad because, like, say, there was a piece of me that went into that project and I didn't get to finish that creative thing. And so I'm like, that's disheartening. And then ultimately, like, the relationship's usually a little scarred from it.
Oh, yeah.
Which, that's not the end goal. Like, you don't want to walk away with that.
No one goes into this going, I hope this sucks, right? It's like, ideally, as people approach marriage, you don't go into it thinking, one day I hope this falls through. Like, yeah. I mean, maybe some people do. Maybe that's not a great analogy, but ideally, that's not the situation, right? As we slowly start to land the plane here, I would love to pick your brain a little bit about maybe just kind of more of the personal side about what you do and why you do it, just because I know that you are a family man like I am, and I know that taking care of your family and building a great home is something you love to do physically as well as metaphorically for yourself and for your clients. And so I guess, how much, thinking about kind of, you with your company specifically, you kind of stepped into a legacy already that the company was established and it was known for something. Do you think about the legacy that you might leave, whether through your company or with your family? And if so, how do those things relate to each other?
So I don't know if the boys will end up, they come now. I enjoy having them. Ultimately, I don't know whether that's where they end up going or not. I support them in wherever they decide to go. I just really like it. I just like, this is what I wanted to do. Like when I was in high school, if you asked me what I wanted to do, it's like, this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which was really frowned on by teachers. Like, yeah, no, they didn't like that at all.
Well, we need tradespeople now more than ever, man.
Yeah, that wasn't the mindset then. This is like, you're talking like late 90s, early 2000. Like they like, I got chewed out by one English teacher when I said that this is what I wanted to do. Yeah, so I just like, I like it. I like what I do. Right. If one of the boys, or even Olivia, like, great, like let's figure out how to create space to do that. But I don't want it to be like where they feel like that's my expectation, because it's not.
That's cool. How often do they come out on the job site with you and see what you're up to?
Last summer they were like, any of their available days, both boys were there. I had the workflow for that. This year I've just been, the project's a little smaller, so one at a time. Yep. So they kind of figure out like, hey, I'm going with you tomorrow, or like, and then dad, my parents, dad stepped out of this business, but they still have their own business. And so Gabriel goes with dad quite a bit to help him with tasks cool. too. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then Gabriel's got his own little side hustle too, which you know about, his video business. Like yeah, he's pretty passionate about that.
Absolutely. Do you know his Instagram handle?
Gabe Bender Films.
There you go. Go get it's worth a follow. So what was funny about designing your website was going back to kind of the blogging thing and you being a photographer and taking pictures all throughout the years. I saw photos of your kids at so many different ages. And so we finished the website and I just had no clue how old your kids actually were anymore because I'd seen them at such various ages. And so when you hit me up on Instagram and you're like, oh, you should follow my son. He does videos for his like volleyball or basketball team. I was like, holy crap, these are amazing. I'm like, oh, he's not like 4 years old anymore. I guess.
He just got his license this week. He's 16. So
I love it though. And I think it's cool, even before we sat down and hit record here, you were already talking about your kids and talking about how proud of them you are. And I love that. And that means a lot to me. And one of the things, I wasn't planning on injecting this into the episode, but we're here and I'm going to do it because I don't know. I think I've texted you this, but I don't know if I've really drawn attention to how much, something that you said and something actually I think it was your grandfather said that has impacted me. So this is just like a fun little side tidbit for you. But you I can't remember one time so at some point when you and I were working on, I think it was the graphics for your trailer. So this is, I don't know, a year ago or so, maybe a year and a half ago.
It'd be year mark. Yeah,
something
coming up to that.
I had done a deep dive on your Facebook because I was looking for some photos of you, and I had stumbled upon a video of you at your church giving your testimony. And it was not like a really professionally shot video or anything like that. But I listened to it because it was cool, and it was, I think you were pretty open about like, you were kind of like ad-libbing and freestyling, and you talked about, different opportunities of sharing the gospel and different things. And it was so cool as I was listening to that. And one of the things that you said, if I'm not mistaken, it was near the end of the episode, but you talked about how your grandfather was a Christian, very devout, and I think he was a preacher, if I'm not mistaken, right? And one of the things that you said that sometimes I will seriously think about this and it gets me choked up, is you said, I am a product of the faithfulness of my grandfather. And I think that is so cool. And to know you and your faith, and just for you to be able to kind of trace that lineage back, right? And it gets me thinking a lot about, man, I'm as guilty as the next guy of thinking of like, just really short-term thinking of like, okay, I got to pay the bills next month. And like, what am I going to do? And how are we going to take care of things? And we're behind because of this thing popped up, whatever. Like, just so short-sighted, right? But when I am, operating as my best self and I can take a step back and think about like what I do day to day matters so much more than that. And think about, particularly for me in my own faith, and really thinking about my faithfulness now can have impacts generations from now. That boggles my mind, but it's cool for me to know you and to see that you are on the receiving end of that. And I feel like, not that I'm not on the receiving end of that. My mom was a believer as well. And so that really impacted me, of course. But to know like what I do today can have huge impacts on people, right? And so, even just tying this back into what you do for work, the homes you build, the renovations you do. I know this is a huge part of why you care about quality so much, right? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you want your work to last much longer than even the people who are paying you for it are going to enjoy it for, right? Because crappy quality work falls apart very quickly. You don't enjoy it, and it very quickly feels like a waste and becomes a waste of money because the money you poured into it did not take you very far. And so often it's really, in the grand scheme of things, not a huge margin between a really crappy job and a really amazing job in terms of quality and then price, and how much extra little bit of money or budget that you can work up right now will take you so much farther, right? In terms of quality. So anywho, that just is, stuff that I think about more and more, and especially when I'm in a good headspace, I'm thinking about that of like, what I do now can really matter, right?
Absolutely.
And I love, hearing you talk about your family and your kids, but also to hear you say like, I don't want to pressure them or push them in a particular way, but I love them and I support them and I'm going to be their dad no matter what. So if they come out on the job site, great. But if they don't, that's also okay.
Yeah, no, well, I think like even if it's not the avenue that they take, I mean, it's just basic hands-on skills, like knowing how to physically work is never going to, you're never going to go wrong having that ability. No. And some of that's not natural to people, you know, like it has to be developed. So, and they're fun to have. Like if you get the pair of them together, they're quite hilarious. You can't get a word in edgewise at lunchtime, but it's an investment into them. Even if they don't stay to do this, it's still an investment into them. So.
I love that. What a good way to look at it, man. Well, I'm going to lob it back to you for one final question that I love to ask, which is just, okay, so for someone listening to this, we've had a very twisty, turny conversation, which has been so fun, man. I hope we do this again sometime because I feel like we could talk for hours and hours. But if someone is going to walk away from this remembering one thing that you've said about what you've learned in business or how to succeed, as a licensed carpenter or contractor or, something in the marketing sales side of things, however you want to take it, what is like one of the biggest things that you've learned in your years of running a business that you feel like has helped you the most and might be part of that legacy that you can pass on to someone that you don't even know?
Well, I'd say just try stuff. And if it's not working, then stop trying it. Know when to cut it. You just have to put yourself out there and sell the job and then figure out the details of how you're going to accomplish that after you've sold it. You just have to go after it. And then the next big key thing is you just got to keep moving forward. Like, you're going to get knocked down. It's not all easy, but you just got to get back up and you just got to keep. It's a slow, steady grind some days, you know. And so that's where my faith comes in, is I'm rooted in that, and I fall back and I rely on that when, you don't go off of your emotions those days, because like Monday morning, if you hit your thumb, you don't feel like working. You don't feel like, you just feel really frustrated, you know. And you just got to put that behind you and you got to move forward. And it doesn't have to be just that. I mean, like, if you're going to be self-employed or in business, or I mean, even anything, it doesn't even have to be that. We've all experienced setbacks, and you just gotta find a way to keep moving forward. For me, that I'm deeply rooted in my faith, and that is what I rely on in those moments. But don't be afraid to get out there and try stuff. If something's not working, then just cut it. And it's not all easy. You just keep moving forward.
Love it, man. Well, beautifully said. Christian, thanks again, man, for being on the show. And definitely, I would love to do a follow-up to this sometime. I feel like we could talk for hours and hours more. So thanks a bunch, man. And let's do this again.
Oh, I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. It's really, really been great being here.
And that is our episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the Amplifyr Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and head to amplifyr.ca to get signed up for our email notifications so you know when a new episode drops. Until then, we'll catch you in the next one.